Finding and employing a PCA is an important part of transitioning into living independently. With PCAs, we can move beyond staying at home with our parents and go to college, study abroad, and even live in our own homes. Given how important our PCAs can be to us, it's important that we work to foster a healthy relationship with them. So we have Alan Chaulet, Drew Bonner, Kanch Randhawa, and Richard Becker here to discuss their own experiences, as well as discuss how they've managed hiring, screening, and maintaining a relationship with their PCA. And so I wanted to have each of them give a quick introduction and share just their general living situation and how they interact with their PCAs on a day-to-day basis. So, does anyone start?
I'll start. My name is Alan Saleh, and I live with my parents. And my current PCA I've had for 3 years, and she's my only PCA right now. And so she's here every weekday from 9 to 2. And every morning she gets here at 9. The first thing I do is she helps me stretch. My physical therapist taught her all the stretches, and it's been huge for my overall health having that in the morning. And then she used the Hoyer lift to bring me into my commode chair, and my commode chair has wheels, and so she wheels me into my bathroom. And we modified my bathroom several years ago, so it's like a recessed, so it's like a roll-in shower, and there's a toilet in the roll-in shower, and so she just rolls me over the toilet. I, do my business, and then she helps me get showered and dressed. And the first year I hired her, I was the first 2 years with her, I think it was, like I was still in college, so she would drop me off to college, pick me up, and it's been life-changing. And we went through several PCAs before, and once you find the right one, you have to try to keep them as long as you can.
So I have a little different system that I went through. So my PCAs, I have like a group of around 4 different guys when I'm away at school. And so it's kind of, I first started, I only had one. And when he was ready to leave, he kind of set me up with some of his friends that attend UVA. And so we kind of have a system where I have a schedule for the whole week on who has what day or what morning shift and whatnot. And we have like a group chat. So the benefit is if anyone gets sick or something comes up, someone can always switch shifts with someone else. So it's kind of a good way for me to always have someone covering. And I guess one of the biggest things that was surprising, it's not necessarily the nursing students that you might think would be really good PCAs. They're just really good guys that want to help out. And a lot of them are in this group called Chi Alpha. It's just a Christian organization. And I mean, some are engineers, and it's just a bunch of college students. So for going away to school, it worked really well. They're my age. We can talk about different things. It's just, they're really good guys.
Hi, I'm Kanch Randhawa, and I did bring one of my PCAs with me. This is Richard Becker, who's sitting next to me here. Richard, at home, I do have 3 PCAs that I have hired, and basically Richard works in the mornings for me. He does have experience with the tracheostomy and ventilation, so when I did hire him, that was something that I was looking for, and he did have that experience. The way in which I hire my PCAs, in Canada, there's a program where the Ministry of Health provides funding for eligible people with disabilities that require PCAs to hire their own PCAs. So they provide funding every month where I have 6 hours in the day allotted to hire a PCA to provide the care that I need. And Richard is the one, like I said, that comes in the mornings and assists me to get out of bed and provide any secretion clearance or suctioning, and to remove me off the ventilator that I'm on overnight. And he helps me transfer with my Hoyer lift to my shower commode, take a shower and do everything else, and get dressed. And once I'm in my chair, I'm a lot more independent once I've done that routine. And Richard's been working with me for a year and a half now. And just to talk about how to hire a PCA, there's a lot of organizations that where PCAs work, either through agencies or the situation or system in Canada is a little different. But there are many different ways to find PCAs, and in an unconventional way, I actually hired Richard through Craigslist. So that just goes to show that you have to look anywhere and everywhere to find that PCA that will be right for you.
So I guess continuing on what Kanch is saying about how you got access to your services, I guess could each of you explain how you went about, like, I guess, realizing you needed PCA services, and then how you found access and through what organizations or, like, what methods you did so?
So, continue on that. I started receiving PCA assistance when I was 16, and I knew that at that point, my mom and my dad were the main caregivers that I had, and it was becoming a little bit difficult, not just for my own independence. So I realized that a PCA would provide that independence, and so I've been. In the beginning, there were government-funded agencies that provided PCAs for me, and it was a little bit challenging because you may not find the right person right away. So in the beginning, it was a little bit difficult to get used to having a PCA, but as time went on, that became normal, and since the year 2001. The program that I'm on now, it's called the Direct Funding Program in Canada, and like I said, the Ministry of Health provides funds for eligible people. You have to apply for it, obviously, and again, just going back to trying to find a PCA, you definitely have to try to just look anywhere and everywhere where PCAs are looking for work.
So I deal with an organization called Moms in Motion, I believe. And through them, I kind of meet with them like once every couple of months, and so I send the hire paperwork for all my PCAs through there, and they help me set up like the timesheet system that is used. I don't know exactly where the money goes through. It's some government group, I'm sure. But I deal exclusively with the Moms in Motion and my caseworker. It's a Medicaid waiver.
Yeah, and so every state does this differently. So if you go onto the Medicaid website of your state, they'll talk about how they do it. So I live in Massachusetts, and what they do is, like through our Medicaid program, they have our PCA program, and they outsourced that to another company, which is Massachusetts Cerebral Palsy, but the state pays for it as part of Medicaid, and you can hire your own PCA or use an agency, and they have what they have in our state, and several other states do, and eventually all states will, but they have it where you can submit the hours electronically. And some states, they'll do it where you have to do the paperwork, like you have to submit how many hours every week. And it's tough to do it that way, where you mail it in. And private insurance covers it as well, but not as many hours as Medicaid. And so it's really important for like to see what your private insurance covers. And they'll say it's under like, there's a distinct difference between hiring a nurse and hiring a PCA. And PCAs are sometimes called home health aides. And once you turn 18, it's really important to get SSI and Medicaid because they cover a lot more hours and they evaluate how many hours you need, and you can also hire parents as PCAs for some hours.
If I can just add something, the program that I receive funds through, we do have to hire our own bookkeeper that tracks, well, basically I track the hours, and the program allows a certain dollar value per hour for a wage. And so what I do is send the hours, and my bookkeeper will process all the taxes, and again, it's a little different in Canada, but basically every 2 weeks I do send out the hours, and my bookkeeper sets up the paychecks for my staff. Like I said, I have 3 different PCAs. Richard is my morning person, and I do have 2 other staff members that I've hired that work in the evenings, and that's basically how the payroll aspect of my PCA situation works.
Okay.
Wait, and I'd like to add one other thing, because in my experience, once I turned 18, so I immigrated from France in '95, and when I was 18, we had green card and everything. We asked the social worker if immigrants can get Medicaid and SSI. All social workers we asked were absolute idiots and gave us the wrong thing. And then once I was 23, when I became American, did the naturalization process, then we found out if you've been living in the US since a certain date that you can get it. And so from 18 to 23, my parents paid out of pocket for a PCA, and it was a nightmare on our finances. And this was 3 kids going to school, going to college at the same time. And if you hire them yourself, you can go through an agency, which is even more expensive than hiring them yourself. And if you hire them yourself, you have to do W-2s, Social Security, it's really hiring a part-time or full-time employee on your own income, which is it's murder on finances.
And I guess if each of y'all could explain maybe some struggles that y'all dealt with when trying to organize your PCA services that you may think other people might benefit from knowing about.
I could speak to that a little bit. As I said before, it takes time to find the right PCA. I continue to have times where there is turnover, and you do have to rely on a fewer number of PCAs to fulfill your care needs. Again, it's always good to have a network of friends or other people that you know that are receiving PCA assistance to try to find another PCA in your community. And obviously, in a last case resort for emergency situations, where all of us are lucky to have our families and our parents to provide that assistance or support when we need it.
Okay.
For the most part, I've been pretty lucky with my PCAs, but I know it was right after my first semester, one of the guys didn't come back, and it was sort of like he just kind of stopped responding. So it was just a confusing time, especially just trying to deal with school for the first time and deal with PCAs. So it can be hectic, but it's once it's kind of established, at least for me, it's been working pretty well.
And just speaking into the theme of being your own self-advocate, which has been reflected in every single one of these presentations, it's really important to say what your needs are, what you need help with. They can't read your mind. You have to say, I need help with this. I need, you need to teach them how to use a Hoyer lift. You have to say where you want to be driven to, what you want to eat, when you want to be picked up, and how you want it. And what many people struggle with is just conveying that. And with my own PCA, we've had many just fights and arguments, but you have to understand that you're the employer and they're the employee. They work for you, so their job is to help you, and you have to help them help you by telling them what you need and everything. And if you ever have a problem, and it's really important to have a very good relationship. It's the same thing as an employer with an employee. You have to be happy, with them, because they're going to be around they're helping you live your lives. They're going to be around for a long time. So it's really important to make sure that they're happy and you tell them they have direction and all of that.
If I could just add to that, what I've learned, it's very important to understand your needs and to know what kind of assistance you need, and be able to direct your PCA to perform those tasks. You have to really understand your disability and your limitations and what kind of equipment you would need and how to use it. And those things are very important. In terms of the relationship, like Alan said, you are the employer and they are the employee. However, it's a bit of a different dynamic. They are providing your personal care. So you do have to have a relationship that is maybe not like a boss and employee, but more like a friend situation where you're able to communicate your needs, and your care needs, and still have that relationship where, if there are frustrating situations where a PCA is being difficult, or you're having a difficult time communicating your needs, you do have to balance that with being assertive, but also being kind and courteous as well.
There's a fine line between being friends and being employee, employer. So you just have to remember, where the line is, because you can be friends, but you are working together. So
it's definitely a difficult, dichotomy to deal with. Just how do you assert yourself and ask for what you want and need, and still remain respectful to your PCA, because in the end, a PCA is not a tool. A PCA is a person who is spending their time helping you live your life independently.
The PCA, and if I could say, is an extension of yourself. Obviously, they're there to provide the assistance to you, to the things that you can't do yourself. And, having the fact, like Ben said, they are a person, and they're not somebody you can talk down to or be mean to. You do have to work with them and have a respectful relationship.
And it's also important that you know your needs throughout the hiring process. And one of the ones which many people encounter is, do you want a male PCA? Do you want a female PCA? Do you not care? And also, what hours are you expecting that PCA to be there? Is it during the week? Is it during weekends? Is it during nights? Is it whenever you need them? And there's so many. You also have to consider that in how you're getting your PCA. Are you hiring them and paying them through Medicaid? Is it Medicaid like you get an agency? And when you hire them yourself, like many people, you do job postings. Like you'll post on care.com, like Craigslist, Kanch said he used, and many people they'll reach out to nursing schools, physical therapy schools, and some people like put flyers at like a church or a library, like board.
Yes, do any of y'all have any like last statements on this topic that you want to make sure you say or share?
Yeah, I think, you know, all of us with Duchenne and Becker's, we need to be assertive and to become independent adolescents and adults. You know, it's important to not to say, you know, you should separate yourself from your parents, but your parents are already going through so much that having to deal with the diagnosis and living with that understanding that your child has this disease, being your own person and having that PCA to allow you to live that independent life, I think would definitely help your parents in dealing with you know, the realities of Duchenne and Becker's.
And
Go ahead.
And the other thing to just forgot what I was going to say is yeah, you have to understand that with DMD, like we all wish we were fully independent. We wish like we go to the bathroom by ourselves, get dressed by ourselves, and just we just have to understand the reality. We can be as independent as we can, but like you can't rely on your parents, and you need a PCA to help you be successful and be as independent as you want. And at first, when I went through several PCAs, it was really tough just to talk about it with like friends and family. Like you kind of want to like hide the fact that you have PCA, but when you tell people about it, like, you know, you're being independent. Being independent is like great, and people really don't care how, you know, what helps you be independent. Like the PCA just helps you in so many ways that just you have to always get one and be comfortable having them.
Hi, Ben. You did a great job facilitating. We're going to use you more. Can I pick up on that for a second, Alan? And actually, I saw a lot of head nodding from you, Richard. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions. So as a PCA, you have options for who you work for. So can you talk a little bit about what you look for when you choose to work for Kanch, what you're looking for in a home? You're in someone's home, you're in someone's space. Yeah. What can people be doing to make their home a space that you want to go into every day, to make that a situation that feels respectful to you?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you're working together. You're not...
Can you pull the mic closer to you? Sure.
It's important that you know that you're working together. You're working as a team. You have to make sure that each of you knows each other's boundaries. You have to make sure that you know each other's, just the ins and outs of your daily life. I mean, when I was looking for employment, what I was really looking for was someone that I clicked with, someone that I knew that I could help. And there's a lot of miscommunication. I think that's the most important thing when you're looking for somebody is that you have to communicate properly. I mean, you can tell them what you want in the interview, and you're not being fully thorough. You have to like tell them exactly what you need, exactly what you want, exactly how it's going to be. And even in that kind of situation, you still don't know. You have to have there's a trial period where you have to really focus on what each other's needs and wants are. If that makes sense.
If I could,
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when I was going through the interview process, and I did interview a few different PCAs, and when I did interview Richard, I think from what I always do is I explain my routine exactly, step by step, as to what it is that I need and what I would expect Richard to do. And the fact that we're fairly close in age adds to the friendship side of our relationship, and makes it a lot easier when we do have a few interests that are in common, and that's something that can be helpful. I do have attendants that are older than me, and that works out well too, but it's just a matter of being thorough in your interview process and finding that person that you click with.
So to that end, do any of you use any standard techniques? Do any of you, for example, Kanch and Richard, have you guys ever videotaped or even on your iPhone made a video of your daily routine so that if you were training somebody new or interviewing, you could even show that to somebody? So the onus isn't on you to have to explain it every time. Are there any tips like that you guys can relay to people for training and hiring of new staff so that it makes it easier when you're bringing in new people or doing training to direct care?
I haven't specifically made a video of my routine, but what I've done in the past is I've had my other PCAs that I've had to provide training. When Richard started, I was receiving assistance through an agency at that point. After I had gotten in 2013, I had pneumonia and got the tracheostomy, and an agency through the hospital was providing my care, and one of the staff that was through the agency that was really good, really knew my routine, provided Richard with training. And that's one way of doing it, having somebody who's already familiar with your routine to provide training. That can be difficult sometimes if the person, the PCA prior to, is already left, but that goes back to just understanding your needs and knowing exactly how your routine is and the equipment and how to use it. It goes back to that. You have to have a complete and thorough understanding of what you need.
Because it's your care, and if you don't know how to communicate what you need, then the other person's not going to know. Because one of the agency people trained me, but he was only there one time, so I needed Kanch to be thorough and tell me exactly until I could get down the routine. It's like a dance routine. You have to do it a few times until you get it memorized. And without him telling me exactly what he needed, I'm lucky actually, because he knows exactly how to communicate that. Some people don't. Some people have it's not that they're limited, but it's just they don't know how. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important thing to know.
Yeah, and the technique which I've done, which is very successful, and I've done in all the interviews, is first you just talk to them like in your living room or your kitchen. You just tell them about the job needs and all that, what you need help with, and then go into your actual room. Like, show them your Hoyer lift, your commode chair. Show them some of the basics. Ask if they'll be able to handle it. Because when you're talking with just someone, they'll be like, oh, okay, I think I could be able to do this. I think I could wing it. And if they don't have experience, that's not very good for you. So you have to show them what you'll need help with. And I think that's, I think it's very important to talk about that in the interview process and also the trial run process. I think it's good to just like say, oh, we'll try it out for one day or one morning to see how it works and take it from there.
Another thing, Annie, if I can just add, is during the interview process, you do have to have certain questions set up. You do have to be thorough in finding out that PCA's experience, what kind of training they've had, what kind of knowledge they have, what kind of equipment they've used. Those things are also important in the interview process as well.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, thank you all for sharing this. And I think the big takeaway is learning how to direct your care and be very specific about that and communicate that and do trial runs and practice it, not with people who know how to, not with your parents and people who do it for you regularly and routinely, and good communication, and then creating an environment where people want to come into your home and be a part of that space and figuring out what that looks like for people. So thank you very much for being here with us. And Richard, thank you for joining us on this panel and being willing to do that. And just a quick story about Richard. I first met Richard in February when Kanch came for our PAC workshop. And you were a very good advocate because not everything was perfect with the equipment that we had. And Richard was a very effective but very respectful advocate to me for Kanch's needs as we worked out how to MacGyver some of the equipment because with the DME company had not been exactly what we thought it was going to be. And we worked together to get it done. But he knew exactly what Kanch needed as we figured out what the hotel might have that we could retrofit, and we got it done. But I was very impressed with you that day. So when we put this panel together, we knew we needed you on it. So thank you all for being here. We're really grateful that you came.